I've done everything in my life, and I thought, okay, why not try a podcast? And it was quite relevant, and someone told me, you got to do this because the number of people you know in the industry, on and off the action, is far too many, and we want to bring these guys their lives, their everything to the camera, and for people to know about their lives, whether it's behind the scenes, in front of the camera, in front of the action, everything related to the food and beverage industry. And this is going to be fun, insightful, because a lot of youngsters who are just getting into the industry might know what it takes to be a chef, a bartender, a food and beverage manager, a GM, a celebrity. So you're going to get the whole 9 yards here, and I'm just waiting to have some fun here. And welcome to Kaapi with Kiran. And this is quite funny because a friend of mine, he'll be on the next one for sure, said you got to call it Kaapi with Kiran. And here we are for the first episode. Welcome. The first episode is going to be very interesting because I wanted to start all the way from my own team, because I see these guys work so hard. I've seen the journey of this person who I've actually was so keen on having on my team, and now I have her on the team, and she's going to be the to-be culinary director at World in a Plate. And so here we are. Welcome, Deepanita.
Thank you. Thanks.
So ever so charming, and so I beat you at Uno. So
it's a tie.
It's not a tie. I beat you. First one I let you win. So
No.
we always make sure that fun is an integral part of everything we do. So how are you feeling today, being on my first episode of Kaapi with Kiran? What do you think of the name?
I think it's very, very smart. The pun intended is amazing. So it's quite fun. It shows that we are going to have fun on the podcast, and I'm feeling very excited.
Are you?
Let's see where this goes.
I'm going to ask you some. I'm going to ask you some really cool questions. And how's it to be a part of World on the Plate and my team? You can, say anything about me, especially on the camera, because it's unfiltered. We're going, it's going to be all out there. So what do you feel?
To be really honest, it has been a great experience, and I think the team is always so happy. So because you have the creative freedom here, so it's not like everybody's bound by either some sort of a timeline. I mean, timelines are important, but it's nothing like that. You get to do what you're best at. So when you get that freedom from within, so you showcase your best, and it all shows in the team and the work that we put in. So
amazing. Thanks for saying nice things about us. But so tell us about getting straight into the podcast. I want to know, especially you're 26 and very excited to understand your journey, because while we've worked together and hung out and had some fun and at paintball and all the other places, so what inspired you actually to become a chef?
So for me, I think this journey started really long ago. I think I was in 10th or 11th grade. So the thing started with, actually my grandfather used to get me a lot of books. So the one book that he got me was Kitchen Confidential by Bourdain. So it was just part of my light reading, but as I got into it, and I was actually prepping for engineering, so that was a different passion project for me. But I moved away from home in 11th, and I was reading this book, and I realized that I was by myself a lot. So I was cooking for myself, and I realized that the kitchen is the one place where I find that peace and quiet that's required to center myself. And reading that book, reading about different chefs, especially about Anthony and his journey and how things are in a restaurant, it really made me want to be a part of that industry. So post 12th, I decided to move into hotel management and pursue this further as a very strong
Nice.
option.
So at the so you moved out 11th standard at
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
moved out and
15.
start staying on your own. Wow, that's amazing. And what were you doing? You went to school or
Yes,
12th?
I was in school 11th, 12th. I was in Bombay. There's some
Which
family
school?
issues, so it was like an integrated course for engineering prep and your 11th and 12th grade study.
And you started staying on your own.
Yeah, so I was
Oh,
staying by
very
myself.
cool.
So that brought that
Very
was
impressive. Yeah.
that
Is that what has helps you right now in the kitchen,
Yes.
planning, running, making sure
Definitely those
ends
two
meet?
roles, yeah.
Yeah.
Once you move out, you're completely on your own, right? So that sort of built my character, I feel, and that's something that I've implied the rest of the years because the move was very sudden. So everybody asks you in every interview, "What's your 5-year plan?"
Hmm.
So I mean, for me, any 5-year plan that I have made has never worked out as it's supposed
As
to.
usual.
As usual.
It doesn't work out for anybody,
But,
trust me.
yeah,
All these people who talk about it on social media is all
it's
yeah.
it never works out.
Hmm.
So I'm just since then I've been taking every day as it comes. You plan, of course you plan, but you never know what's in store for you. And by God's grace, I suppose everything has been nice till now.
So
Everything's
they
been
always
working
say
out.
that you have to manifest what you want to do
Mhm.
and just go with the flow and it happens.
Yes.
So that's how probably your journey has been. I mean,
Definitely.
I'd like to. So after college, you went to which college?
I went to IHM Bombay.
So
I had an option of Delhi and Bombay, but then since Bombay was home ground for me, I chose Bombay. So I was there for 3 years, completed my bachelor's there. It was an amazing experience, some of the best professors, some of the best students. I've made lifelong friends there. And
shout out to IHM Bombay. Yeah?
Yes,
A lot of people are going to
Dada
watch
catering.
you. Dada catering going to watch you and say, hey, IHM Bombay is always there, right?
It's always there. And in the industry, it sticks also because IHM Bombay has made such an impact on all of its students in the industry. There are people spread out throughout the country and the world.
Who's the biggest star in IHM Bombay?
So right now, Chef Hussain, he's
It's IHM Bombay. Okay, nice, lovely.
So he's
Good star to have.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Nice people to look up to. I mean,
Amazing. So Anthony Bourdain, talking about Anthony Bourdain, I mean, great man, short journey. All these superstars have a very short journey. He inspired so many, people, and I've been very lucky to work with some big chefs. Couldn't work with him, but work with Marco Pierre, and Marco Pierre bought his whole, literally all his memorabilia and made a separate room which is dedicated to him. But sadly, it ended up that way. What do you think of that? When you looked up to him so much, what do you think of that journey? What happened with Anthony taking his own life?
so I think at some point you have to separate the art from the artist. Now, for me, looking up to him or taking him as inspiration was completely based on the things he has done or accomplished in his lifetime, the product he puts out. So, for me, I mean, the industry is tough on you mentally, physically, but the way you handle it completely depends on you. So, whatever went on with him in his personal life or however his career affected his mindset, I don't think anybody else can get into his head and figure out what went wrong. But the way you deal with those problems completely depends on you.
Amazing. So obviously, you have a lot of your peers who are not from the industry and they're from different walks of life, and you've met many friends. What do they talk about your work? What do they say that, you're looking so cool on that Instagram post, you're cooking, you're on, World on the Plate, brand ambassador. What do they talk about it, and what are your answers to that?
So for them, it's all about the fun and the glamour that comes out at the end of everything. So for them, it's all fun and games. Oh, you're meeting so many different people, you're dealing with different brands, you're traveling, so much is going on. But people fail to see the work that goes behind it, the 18-hour, 20-hour shifts that you pull out that event or to pull out the product that you've been working on.
Number of flights you miss.
The number of flights you've missed, how much it takes a toll on you at the end of the day. But people are not there to see that. So it's actually very difficult because after working so hard when you're putting out a product for people to judge in the moment, so it also gives a lot of pressure on you. You take it on as a professional, as a critic for yourself. Then everything is riding on that one product or the event, and in the end, it's all well and good, but the hard work definitely counts that people tend to miss.
Amazing. So tell me more about your training days inside the kitchen. Obviously, a lot of young chefs, who especially ladies who are training to be chefs, training to pursue a career in the hot kitchen. You are like one of the chefs, lady chefs in the hot kitchen, right? How did that transpire from you being firstly a lady, and what were your challenges and how was that? Take us into that life.
Okay, so I mean, as soon as I stepped into the industry and people found out, oh, I'm interested in the food production department, as we call it in the colleges. So the first idea that anybody has is, oh, are you in the pastry or bakery? Because that seems to be the only place that a woman or a girl would be suitable for, because the hot kitchen is too hot to handle. So,
I like that. Huh? Awesome. Huh?
yeah, so I was never interested in pastry and bakery. Like I told you, the kitchen was the one place where you find peace. So even throughout training, the hot kitchen is the one place where there's so much chaos, but the beauty in that is to find your equilibrium and you're centered and you know what's happening. So it's a different environment completely, especially being a girl. You're always, I mean, I don't want to sound cliche, but you're always underestimated in the industry.
Of course, yeah.
The gender ratio is way off. Like in a brigade of 100 chefs, I have been the only female chef there. So people still, they look at you and they'll be like, oh, how are you doing it? Are you sure you want to do it? Are you want to continue? Are you want to switch? Are you want to switch departments? It's like, no, I'm okay where I am, because for me, anybody who's actually aspiring to be a chef, you have to walk in with the mentality that you need to see this through. It's a journey. It's not just a career. You take it on as a lifestyle. So you have to be curious, you have to stay humble. You can't always be like, oh, this is what I know. I am still learning to date, and I'm pretty sure any of the chefs you meet, they are still learning. You learn something.
Isn't that the beauty of art?
Exactly.
You keep learning every day.
You have to be relentless about reaching that excellence. This is what you aim for and this is what I will strive for. So you work towards that. That's the one thing that keeps you motivated.
So what do you strive for? What is that journey? When will you say that I've, kind of come to a space that I'm thinking of retiring or ending that journey?
So for me, I think till date, everything that I've worked on, like I said, I am my biggest critic. I have found faults in every single thing that I've done. I appreciate the acknowledgement or the appreciation that comes from my peers or my seniors, but I know what I am capable of and what I want to do. So I want to reach a state, I know, which will come after a lot of hard work, is that I want to be happy with what I'm doing. So once I put out a menu, a dish, a place that I know is perfection is an illusion.
Imperfect.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I need to reach that stage where I'm like, okay, this is the best that I have done, and this is what's making me happy, this is what's making others happy. So once I'm content, I'll be like.
So it's basically not financial, but more like inward to,
Because since
most
the journey
emotional.
started with such emotions, I feel like it should end on an emotional note.
Amazing. Deep, huh? Wow.
It's a money.
I'm super excited of how deep you are, Deepanita. My God. So you got serious of being a chef, and that's how you start wearing black t-shirts, is it?
Oh.
Is that one of the reasons?
I'm just reflecting my soul.
Oh my God. Was that peace or harmony or what is it?
Just chaos inside and outside.
So tell me more about the fun side of the kitchen. What happens inside the kitchen? Were there, flirtatious moments from while you were training? Because you're one girl in 100 people, and I'm sure there were, moments where you were, made proposals by or hit on, they call it. Proposal sounds very, like a marriage proposal. Or tell us more about that part.
One second, can I come a little inside?
Kitchen team is always fun to hang out with in any hotel or a restaurant you go to. You will always notice that the kitchen team is separate because it becomes like such a strong family. They will not allow anybody else in. Even if you're in service, front office, whatever it is, your kitchen team comes first. Now the thing with being a girl or a female in this scenario is that if you're young, if you are just walking in, they don't know you. Now the culinary industry, there are different people from different stratas of the society. You don't know who's coming from which background. Now people don't understand the concept of taking offense or offending someone. So it's a very thin line that you have to walk. So for me also in the industry, I have experienced it firsthand. I have seen people going through it. It's not the best thing to deal with in a workspace. It's like any other industry, but you have to learn how to draw boundaries. You have to know when to say.
You, as in the girl, has to.
You have to know when to say no, when to put your foot down. If it's not okay with you, it's not okay with you.
You have to be clear.
You have to be clear. Like, a lot of people take this to heart. They're like, oh, this is happening to me. This has been continuously happening. So you let it affect your mental state. You let it affect your work. So might as well just put it out there. Say, I'm not okay with this. Either we stop this here, or this will escalate, and then everybody's gonna get hassled. So just.
So sad that the men are the only ones who are targeted. What happens if
it happens
what happens if the woman, the girl in the kitchen is sitting on this guy and he's shy? What do you have to say about that?
This is gender neutral. You could be any gender. If you're not okay with something, just say it.
Okay.
I understand it comes with a lot of things. Oh, he's my senior. What he's gonna do? She's my boss. She's gonna say that. But if you're not,
you got to learn how to put your foot down. Be clear of what your expectations are, and.
These days, whether you're a girl or a boy, people tend to hear you out.
So tell me, another serious question, which is why we also thought the podcast is important, not just because I just wanted to make the podcast. I mean, mental health is a big deal nowadays, and a lot of people reach out to me about issues, especially during COVID. It was crazy. There's such a bad, backlog for the hospitality industry. We were all part of it. How do you deal with mental, emotional issues? How do you deal with them? Of course, and what would you want to tell people? Like these are all emotional issues, right? The girl has been, hit on by a senior and she's working in the same department. She can't go and talk to anyone else. Probably, her best opportunity is to get, just keep quiet. How would you deal with? That's one aspect of it, which is the first question. The second question, anything beyond that, generally mental, emotional health. How are you dealing with it? Because the number of hours of work pressures, delivery, like you said, that putting that plate on that table, you might think you put the best plate on the table, and the customer is like, oh man, this is the worst. I don't like it. How do you guys deal with this at your level?
So I think it also depends from person to person, but personally...
You personally, forget about anybody else.
What I feel is when it comes to work-related stuff, because like you said, this industry is very hectic. You are spending most of your time at your workplace. You're disconnected from your friends, your family, and even during COVID, like we all went through it. We were quarantined for 1 month, 2 months straight, just working from there, or if you're going there, you have to stay alone because you cannot interact with anyone. So you feel so disengaged, and in this world, you feel so lonely when you have so many things to access. It still happens. So I think when at that personal level, you have to separate your work and your personal life. You have to figure out where you stand, and even like you said, if it's work related and somebody's complaining about your work. Now, if you are your worst critic, you already know what's wrong with the dish. Even if somebody's ripping it apart, you as a professional will also know what's right with it. Yeah. So it's one person's opinion compared to what you're doing for the rest of the service out for the rest of your day.
Mm.
So you have to take it as a healthy criticism maybe, where you see, okay, this is what somebody felt is wrong, and I know maybe it could be wrong. So you're always pursuing that perfection in that dish, so you keep working towards it. But mentally, you have to separate that this is just work, this is where I'm learning, and this will keep on happening. It's a growth curve, right? You can't just reach from point A to point B in a short span of time. You have to keep working towards it. And when it comes to, suppose, some sort of personal issues in your workplace where you're getting harassed, suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to know that if you're not in the wrong, you're not in the wrong. It sounds very easy to say because you need a very strong mental condition to deal with it when you have a strong backing. So I would say you need to keep in touch with your friends, your family. You need to know what's happening outside in the world, because what I've noticed with hoteliers also is we are only friends with hoteliers.
Correct.
So our world revolves around it. Even when you're chilling, you're only speaking about things that are happening in the hotel or in the industry. So you always.
So have you broken that group and you've met friends outside?
Yes. So I have tried to. I've made friends from different industries. It's also fun to know what's happening with them.
Yeah.
So and they are also interested in.
Also customer centric, right?
Yeah.
It's that's your customer.
Yeah.
You know, hoteliers will obviously come and eat, but the others are also
the
the
others
guys.
that you need to target, so then it all becomes word of mouth. And they go and speak to their friends.
Nice.
And you're just building connections.
Amazing. So tell me your favorite chef. Firstly, in globally in India, maybe you can name, and why.
I don't want to sound biased, but it's Marco Pierre White. I've seen the way he deals in the kitchen, the way he works, the people he has mentored. He's only given out people who are actually achieving so much in the world, and the way his outlook is towards the industry.
And you were lucky to work with him. It's amazing.
Best thing ever.
So what's your favorite cuisine?
My favorite cuisine, to cook is European. I love the way you can explore and experiment with different dishes, different techniques, different ingredients, and to eat would be Indian. Nothing else Indian.
You don't like to cook Indian?
I do. I'm still in that experimental phase of Indian where you know what you're cooking at home, you know what you're eating, that's fine. But the different ways you can incorporate science into Indian food, like right now I'm reading a book called Masala Lab. So it deals with different ingredients and how, like everything you've learned, like suppose Maillard reaction, you always relate it to European desserts or this and that. But how does it affect your Indian ingredients? How does that incorporate? So yeah, I'm experimenting that side right now.
So, what's your favorite Indian restaurant?
My favorite Indian restaurant.
Fine dine, or you have a lot of great restaurants in the country now, and obviously globally as well. Any Indian favorite?
Eka.
Eka? Okay.
Was
it because? Is it also because led by a lady chef?
A little bit.
Also, right?
Yeah.
But you think they're doing some good stuff? Okay, nice. So what's that restaurant which you want to, if you at 100% that you'll get that opportunity for sure, what would you want to build for your passion project?
My passion project. Like I've given this a lot of thought, and I feel like over the years of experience that I gain, it tends to change also.
Obviously,
right now the one that I am aiming for is something, like the first thing that comes to mind is the concept of farm to table. Like that's the one thing I want to do. If I'm using something in the kitchen, I want to know where it's coming from. I want to grow my own produce. I want to experiment with different soil. I want to experiment with different water pH and see how things grow, how that affects the taste, and I want to incorporate that into my menu. I don't want to stick to one single menu for too long. I want to be as experimental as I can.
How many seats would that be, that restaurant?
I'm thinking 20, 25.
And manifest it, it's going to happen, I promise you. 20-25 seats. And which part of the country or world would you want this restaurant to be? Yeah, why not? Life is all about dreams, and if you can see it, it can happen. And I've seen that all the time.
If it's in India, I would choose Bangalore. And if I was thinking maybe Singapore, because it's so up and coming with different things. But then it becomes a whole different scene when you move outside of the country, because you have to understand the landscape and because right now I'm so comfortable with this area. So I've always been imagining it like in the
I was going to think of more like the hills and.
Yeah. So
and
yeah,
all of
exactly. In
that.
Bangalore, like towards the Nilgiri and stuff, like how Nar has opened right there. So it's so exclusive. It also builds up.
Do you know
the
how
hype.
far Nilgiri is from Bangalore?
2-3 hours.
It's 5 hours. But yeah, I mean, I get it. But it's Nilgiri is in Tamil Nadu. It's not. However,
My
I mean,
direction
but
and geographies.
it doesn't matter. Trust me. It's just the vision of setting up a beautiful restaurant in the Nilgiris is what you'd love to do, right? So I think it's just an amazing chat, knowing so much about you, and I hope people who've heard you are going to be inspired to cook, especially in the hot kitchen. A lady being a chef in the hot kitchen, and trust me, guys, she's badass. We have seen her, run shows very, very confidently and easily, and you should take inspiration from these young superstars. So at Kaapi with Kiran, firstly you get good coffee. I hope you enjoyed your coffee. Yeah, you can't say no, of course. Yeah, so at the garage we've got a little bit of plug-in 32 single origin coffees. I'm going to invite you guys to come and have a coffee with me, but more importantly, to get to know more about your life so that the world knows what they don't know. And each of these lives are different. You go on the internet, you'll get to know lives about people who are famous, who've done very, very unique things. But these young stars and people who I'm going to interview, their lives are unique by themselves. Like, I was quite excited to know she moved out when she was 11 years old. Sorry, 11 standard. Yeah, see, I mean, probably she was as 11 years old, but moving out in 11th standard for a girl is quite something in India, and probably that's why her character and all of that is what has made Deepanita who she is. And so hope you guys have had a good listening with us, and look forward to have the next one soon. Cheers. Bye.